Well, I just decided that I would report on this article that I didn't see the person's link. It was Sadie Hastings who left a comment under my last video, and she said that Israel and the UK were going to sign a 7-year agreement. So I had to go looking for the article because I guess YouTube removed the link or something. I don't know. But I found a couple of articles about it and decided to report on it. You know, the 7-year covenant with many, I have always seen that as it's a covenant that has to do with the third temple being built, and it has to do with the sacrifices and offerings that are going to be stopped in the middle of the 7 years. Talked about how the scriptures indicate a land lease, so I have seen that as a 7-year land lease of some sort of Holy Mount Moriah to have a piece of the land to build the third temple. But this could be setting the stage, and also we know that the Pope had this 7-year Laudato Si agreement. So just because this is a 7-year agreement does not mean it is the covenant with many, but it is interesting that it's Israel and the UK making this 7-year agreement just before King Charles is coronated May 6th. So maybe if it leads to it and it becomes part of that agreement, then it could turn into something. So thank you, Sadie, for telling me about this. And let me just read this. It came out, looks like today or yesterday. Stephen Gannot from the Media Line, and it says, Israel and the United Kingdom are set to sign an agreement aimed at strengthening technology, trade, and security ties over the next 7 years. The agreement will be signed Tuesday by British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly and his Israeli counterpart Eli Cohen during Cohen's visit to London. The new roadmap for relations between the two countries includes joint funding commitments of around £20 million, which is $24.5 million for technology and innovation. Cleverly said in a statement ahead of the visit that the roadmap would allow us to fully take advantage of the opportunities in areas of mutual interest, including tech, trade, and security. Discussions between the two countries will also cover the recent surge in violence in Palestine territories, as well as the threat posed by Iran and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The UK and Israel started negotiations last year for a new trade agreement, which both governments described as a key priority. So the UK government posted this in London, and it was a press release, and it said UK and Israel to sign landmark agreement deepening tech, trade, and security ties. So if something should develop in the security area, it'll be interesting to see what develops there. So it's going to be boosting economic, security, and technology ties. The Foreign Secretary and Israeli Foreign Minister will today sign the 2030 roadmap for UK-Israeli bilateral relations, boosting economic, security, and technology ties. The roadmap builds on 75 years of close relations between the two countries and includes shared commitments to tackle the scourge of anti-Semitism. So, isn't this interesting? This is happening pretty soon before King Charles receives the power and authority as king in his coronation. The Foreign Secretary and Foreign Minister Cohen are also expected to discuss the recent spike in violence across Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and the threat posed by Iran. Foreign Secretary James Cleverly will host his Israeli counterpart, Foreign Minister Eli Cohen, in London today, which was March 21st, to sign a landmark agreement that will define bilateral relations between their two countries until 2030. The UK and Israel are committed to a modern, innovative, and forward-looking relationship that continues to focus on multiple priorities for mutual benefit. The 2030 Roadmap for Israel-UK bilateral relations is an ambitious agreement that will ensure the partnership remains modern and continues to innovate to address shared challenges, adopting a thematic approach. The roadmap contains detailed commitments for deepening cooperation across the breadth of the Israeli-UK relationship, including on trade, cyber, science and tech, research and development, security, health, climate, and gender. New multi-million-pound programs announced in the roadmap, including around £20 million of joint funding commitments on technology and innovation, will enable both countries to remain at the forefront of the technological revolution. The UK is also committed to working closely with Israel to tackle the scourge of anti-Semitism. As chair for the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance in 2024, the UK will promote fact-based knowledge of the Holocaust and strengthen media and information literacy. The Foreign Secretary James Cleverly said ahead of the visit, the UK-Israel bilateral roadmap is a testament to the strength of our close historic relationship. As we approach the 75th anniversary of the UK-Israel relations, our roadmap will allow us to fully take advantage of the opportunities in areas of mutual interest, including tech, trade, and security. The UK and Israel also stand together, defiant in the face of the malign influence of Iran in the region and against the wider scourge of anti-Semitism. The UK-Israel relationship has already delivered huge benefits to both economies. Our trade relationship is worth around £7 billion, and there are more than 400 Israeli tech firms operating in the UK. Israeli investment into the UK drives growth and jobs, adding around £1 billion gross value to the UK economy and creating about 16,000 jobs in the last 8 years. The roadmap is the culmination of efforts that began with the signing of a memorandum of understanding in November of 2021 to work more closely over the next decade on cyber technology, trade, and defense, which formally elevated the UK's relationship with Israel to a strategic partnership. Last year, the UK and Israel launched negotiations for a new free trade agreement with a focus on innovation and the aim of upgrading the trading relationship. The new trade deal, by lowering barriers and championing free trade, is a key priority for both governments. During the visit, the Foreign Minister and Foreign Secretary will also discuss areas of shared concern, including countering the current threat from Iran and tackling Iran's destabilizing and malign activity in the Middle East, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and the UK's ongoing support for the Abraham Accords. The Foreign Secretary will also raise the UK's concerns about the recent spike in violence in the Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories and the need for all parties to take steps to de-escalate and end the cycle of violence. One of the things that this document does is it enshrines ongoing joint training and exercises that will continue to benefit both countries through strengthening military ties, force buildup, research and development, conduct joint research and development to identify transformational defense and security capabilities in order to tackle shared threats. Another thing they plan to do is their academic collaboration to consider how the UK and Israel can strengthen academic collaboration around climate and environment through increased research funding and student exchange programs. Global efforts to halt and reverse biodiversity loss working together in the framework of global initiatives such as the Global Ocean Alliance, the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People, and the Leaders Pledge for Nature, as well as the United Nations Decade on Restoration. And they're going to work together on health issues. As a global force for good in the field of health, with a strong track record of cooperating effectively to tackle global health issues, Israel and the UK are committed to leveraging our combined research and innovation strengths to address global health challenges. We will further strive to create broad cooperation in the fields of the planning and financing of public health systems, the structuring of future medical facilities, including hospitals and community-based comprehensive clinics. Israel is a significant partner for Britain's NHS, supplying 1 in 7 of all medicines and saving the UK taxpayer billions of pounds. During the C-19 crisis, public health teams from both countries developed strong working relationships, enabling us to share information and strategies. We want to build on those relationships with regular discussions on surveillance and information sharing so we can create strategies in the areas of early detection and response to public health threats. So basically, control. So the 2030 roadmap for UK-Israel bilateral relations. And it's going from now until 2030. And those 7 years. So is this setting the stage to include the cooperation of Israel and the UK to allow the temple to be rebuilt? Time will tell how this develops, but the contents of this are partnership, anti-Semitism, delegitimization, and anti-Israel bias, defense and security, trade and investment, labor issues, science, innovation and technology, climate, health, culture, education and higher education, development, and gender. It's really strange to me that they're creating quite the alliance together, and all of this being put into place before King Charles is coronated. So this being a 7-year roadmap between the UK and Israel is a huge development. I don't really believe right now that it includes the right things that it needs to have in it to allow Israel to build the temple, but it's interesting anyway that these articles were out about this 7-year agreement. And by the way, this roadmap was just published March 21st, 2023. One more thing that's important to read is about the Holocaust section. It says, the UK and Israel believe that the latest ICJ referral on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict represents an inappropriate recourse to the advisory opinion mechanism, as this undermines the efforts to achieve a settlement through direct negotiations between the parties, which remains the only viable path to a lasting peace. They will be combating delegitimization. Both countries are committed to fighting all forms of anti-Semitism, including in its modern form of delegitimization of the State of Israel, as elaborated in the IHRA definition. Also, the UK reaffirms its objection to boycotts, divestment, and sanction campaigns. Such campaigns are at variance with UK government policy and not only unfairly single out Israel and undermine efforts to advance Israeli-Palestinian dialogue and recognition, but can contribute to the deplorable rise of anti-Semitism in the UK. The UK is committed to ending any such campaigns by public bodies, including through legislation. Include in this, in the future, within this year, something that allows the Jews to build the temple. And the king could be the one putting it through maybe a clause added to this. We don't really know yet. It's developing, so we need to pay attention to this. And it's interesting that it gives the 2030 timeline roadmap. So things are developing, and we'll stay tuned and we'll see what happens. Realize that things are kind of falling into place one by one, and we just need to pay attention when these things come about. And this is a very interesting time for this 7-year agreement to go into place between the UK and Israel. So I hope you found this interesting. Thank you. Like, subscribe, and share. Comment below and support my channel. It's really a blessing if people support my channel, because I do a lot of hours of work filming and editing and trying to put together information for you guys. So I hope you appreciate it. And God bless. I'll see you later.